Hello everyone, welcome to Fullmoon Movies. Now, what happens when you take a gambler, a con artist, and a lawman and throw them into a poker game that could change their lives? Now, that's not just the setup for Maverick, but it's the secret to why this film still works decades later. It's the kind of movie that knows how to entertain, not just with big action or drama, but with a wink, a smirk, and a slow handful of aces. When westerns were thought to be riding off into the sunset, Maverick came along and smiled at the camera and dealt us something unexpected, a comedy adventure that rides between classic western charm and a quick-tongue con artistry. Mel Gibson played Brad Maverick with a kind of roguish and elegance. Basically, he's not the fastest gun, but he's always 3 moves ahead, bluffing not just his opponents, but often the audience too. Gibson's charisma works here because he makes you feel like he's always letting you in on the joke. And while some Western heroes come off as a rugged or brooding, Maverick is relaxed. He survives not by shooting first, but by knowing when not to draw at all. Now, to add to this fun, there's also Jodie Foster as Annabelle Bransford, a grifter who's just as clever as Maverick, but never quite as honest. The chemistry is sharp and snappy. Foster doesn't play the damsel, and that's what makes her fun to watch. She holds her own, teases the toys with Maverick, and by the end, it's not really clear who's playing who. In fact, their banter, timing, and subtle one-upmanship keeps the film pace light and unpredictable. As James Garner as Marshal Zane Cooper gives the whole thing a layer of gravitas and nostalgia. He's the calm in the chaos, the seasoned player who knows the stakes but keeps his cards close. Garner originally played Maverick in the 1950s TV series, and bringing him into this film wasn't just clever, it was meaningful. There's a meta quality to his presence, and when the big twist involving his character unfolds, it doesn't just land as a surprise, it lands with heart. Director Richard Donner brings a steady hand to the tone of the film. He lets the humor breathe without losing the Western sensibilities. He doesn't rush the jokes or the action. And what's especially noticeable is how he lets the camera roam wide when it needs to, showing off sweeping canyons, dusty trail rides, and the grandeur of riverboat showdowns. There are slow pans, classic establishing shots, and close-ups, times just right during the card games, so you feel like you're at the table waiting to see who blinks first. The production design supports all of that. The costumes are rich in detail, capturing both the grit of the trail and the elegance of the 19th century poker halls. The lighting was warm, almost golden finish to it, especially during the nighttime riverboat sequences. The cinematography by Vilmos Zsigmond uses contrast effectively between sun-soaked landscapes and dimly lit interiors, making each setting feel lived in and real. And Randy Newman's score brings levity. There's a kind of a musical playfulness underneath all of this, reminding us while the story may include danger, betrayal, and even double crosses, it's still a game. When the film was released in 1984, it opened strong with 17 million in its first weekend and went on to earn over 183 million worldwide. For a Western comedy in the 90s, that's not small feat. Critics praise its charm, its smart script, and its ability to refresh the Western genre without mocking it. It earned an Academy Award nomination for costume design and even received a few nods for how well it balanced humor and homage. The common critique was that perhaps the plot didn't have enough urgency and that it was too lighthearted to be taken seriously. But that misses the point, you see. Maverick never tries to be gritty or high stakes. It tries to be entertaining, and that it absolutely is. Today, Maverick still holds up, especially for collectors and fans of films that blend genres without losing their identity. If you're someone who enjoys character-driven stories, clever twists, and actors who genuinely seems to be having fun, now this is a title worth revisiting. It plays well in any format, but on Blu-ray, the richness of the colors and the details of the costume and set design really comes to life. Now, the riverboat scenes especially shine in HD, and if you happen to find a collector's edition with special features like behind-the-scenes commentary, you'll appreciate how Donner and the cast shaped this easygoing poker face western into something that still feels fresh. So while it may not be as dusty as Unforgiven or brooding as The Searchers, Maverick is still a reminder that sometimes a good laugh, a clever bluff, and a little charm can go a long way, even in the Old West. And that's why this film still deserves a seat at the table. Now, this movie is a must watch.